And welcome back to the Michael Cohen Show on a continued journey to 500,000 subscribers. So important that we get there. So hit subscribe, watch, comment, and share because, again, this insanity, it's never going to stop. And history, it's not always pretty. And as I often speak about, my father, who's a Holocaust survivor, terrible. And while it is a horrible piece of our world history, it is important to remember that we can never allow this sort of stuff to happen again. Trump's newest attack on our museums, on the Smithsonian Institution, threatens that important moments like the Holocaust and slavery will be erased from our history and therefore threaten to happen again. The other day on Political Beatdown, my co-host Ben Meiselas and I, we go into pretty significant length on this topic. Play the clip.
I mean, Donald Trump, we talked about this on other hot takes as well, that Donald Trump said that his big frustration with a lot of these museums is that he says they talk bad about slavery. And it's, something that's pretty obvious that they want to erect all of these gold statues for the Confederates because they go, we can't forget about that part of our history. We need to, by the way, we should acknowledge the Confederacy existed to criticize it. No one's saying that we should erase the existence of these horrific Confederate generals. We should never erase the history because we need to learn from how bad these people are. There's a difference between that and venerating them with golden statues. But then at the same time, what do they want to get rid of, Cohen? References to slavery. That has to be erased. Any part of our history that references that slavery was bad. And Trump put that in a post. He put it in a post. And then he still will go and say, no president's done more for African Americans like Donald Trump. No president. You see here? Lawrence Taylor, everybody. Lawrence Taylor. See, African Americans like me. It's like, Donald, so you brought in Lawrence Taylor, who nobody thinks about, other than when you're like, wasn't that the guy who was found criminally liable for sexually assaulting a 16-year-old after his NFL career, and then said it wasn't his fault, but it was the pimp's fault for bringing him a 16-year-old? That was his defense for sexually assaulting a 16-year-old. Donald Trump appointed to be the person in charge of the initiative for little girls' fitness tests. Like, can we talk? Like, this is something that just fades from everybody's memory.
Can you explain something to me?
The person.
So we have now an entire administration that finds the discussion of slavery is bad, right? It doesn't make America look great. Well, you got 4 centuries of slavery. It's certainly understandable. Explain to me how you still see Black Americans at these rallies, at these White House events, at these MAGA events, wearing, for example, Trump 2028 shirts and adorning the hats and so on. Do they not understand that this man, this administration, sees them as less than a full human being? I mean, I don't understand. I'm beginning to hear from friends of mine who are still on the inside that they are very concerned as it relates to the Hispanic community, specifically like Cuban, and as well as the El Salvadorian population, for example, in Florida, that they're very concerned about it because of the illegal and the improper detention of undocumented migrants. And they're losing that. They're losing the Hispanic, but I don't understand why there's even one. I truly just don't. I'm sort of lost by America. Are we looking like I wrote the other day, Ben, that you guys posted on Midas Touch Network's digital? I wrote, Americans want to lose our democracy? I mean, is that what we're looking for? That after 250 years, you're able to say to yourself, hey, I'm kind of like fucking bored with this democracy bullshit. I kind of like the idea of an autocracy, of a supreme leader. You know, it's not as messy as democracy. It's one man makes a decision for all of us, whether we like it or not. Instead, here they want to rewrite history. By the way, you don't rewrite history by doing what they're doing. What you do is you're going to cause it to return, and you're going to make it into a repeat.
You know, look, democracy is hard. Democracy is messy. Democracy requires compromise. Democracy requires good faith. Democracy moves slower. Democracy requires participation. And this is why so much of the world was amazed that America was able to pull it off, as imperfect and as problematic as certain periods were and certain things were, like slavery and Jim Crow. And you can go on to a lot of internment camps. And there's a lot of our history that we shouldn't be proud of, but we should reflect on how we try to avoid it in the future. But the arc of history, the arc towards fixing things, was something that the rest of the world looked at and said, how did you achieve this? And they tried to model and take parts of it in their own systems to perfect, you know, especially lots of countries that have histories of authoritarianism. They look to America as a beacon for free elections, the type of stuff that Trump does. Oh, it's rigged, it's unfair, blah, 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 overthrow. That's what the dictators would do. They would claim that they were doing free elections, but they wouldn't. I mean, Putin claims he does elections. Kim Jong-un claims he does elections. They just win by 95% because it's a rigged system, and that's what dictators do. But the problem is that when, and this is what we'll talk about shortly, when you have certain people playing by the democracy rules and other people playing by the authoritarian rules, and no one's calling out the authoritarian rules as such. No one's saying, foul, you can't do that. We're not working with you. We're not accepting it here. When you have Tim Cooks showing up with golden nuggets or whatever he's freaking bringing to Donald Trump, when you have NVIDIA, the AI company, saying, okay, Donald, we'll pay you tribute, when you have all those, you know, powerful people go to Mar-a-Lago and bend the knee and submit, then you have an entire political party submit. Then you have a far right-wing Supreme Court submit. Then you look at it and you've now embraced two different rules. Now, it's like, imagine playing basketball, or you pick into sport where one group of people have their hands tied behind their back, their legs their legs cuffed together, you know, and the other side's able to move freely. That's the system that we have now. And so it's why we need to fight back. We have to fight fire with fire. Yeah. We have to call it out, especially, and I'll just show you this clip right here, where you have Lindsay Halligan's of the world, Trump's former lawyer, you know, out there. Here's what she was saying about her efforts to change the way American museums will look. Here, play this clip.
While slavery is obviously a horrible aspect of our nation's history, you can't really talk about slavery honestly unless you also talk about hope and progress. And I think we need to be focusing on the progress that we've made since then, and we need to stop focusing so much on the lack of progress. We need to keep moving forward as a country.
Who's talking about lack of progress?
Exactly.
In other words, see, this is the problem with things like Fox. There is nobody who pushes back. There is nobody that turns around and asks the follow-up question. Whoa, hold on one second. What, you just made a statement that we need to get rid of the conversation of slavery because it was bad for America's history, and that we are not creating in the museums the fact that we have progressed, though we should all acknowledge we're far from there where we should be, but we certainly as a people, as a humanity, we have progressed. Oh, You know how you know that we've progressed? Because there's a fucking museum that's dedicated, right, to the African American Museum. I mean, for God's sakes. I mean, if that doesn't turn around and say that, hey, we acknowledge it, we are talking about it, I just don't understand why nobody pushes back. It's a ecosystem of lies and of a rewriting of history. And you try to rewrite history, you are doomed to repeat it. The only difference, people are sick and tired. I really believe it. I believe, other than the 1%ers, we're really getting sick and tired of all of the cosplay, all of the stupidity, from like the Shady Vances to the Stephen Millers to the nonsense that's going on with Pete Hegseth and what's her name? Kristi Noem going out there today and painting the Mexican side of the wall. I mean, this bullshit really has to stop, as more and more people have less and less of money in their pocket because of tariffs and all sorts of other things. I think people are really getting sick and I know I am.
I'm as well.
Just frustrated by all of this stupidity.
It's why, when California Governor Newsom's out there mocking Donald Trump and doing the memes and, and is out there just saying, look, we can all play at this game too. Like, this is how stupid you look, Donald. Let me show it to you. I want to talk about Governor Newsom.
Can I ask you a question, Ben?
Yeah.
Why are they using pictures of me?
That's definitely your body.
Yeah.
That may be your name, image, and likeness from 1990. I've seen some of those wedding pics, Cohen. I mean, I saw what Cohen looked like in the 90s.
Hey, everyone. First of all, thanks for watching. I mean, we're going to be posting daily episodes with reactions and talking about politics. We'll be talking about everything, in fact. So please like and subscribe. Join us on this journey.